Hey there friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I want to showcase another Prismatic Titan build I've been really enjoying in Destiny 2, and instead of focusing on my melee as I would normally do as a crayon eating Titan, this one's going to be hard focused on grenades and ramping them up as much as possible. And so it all starts with a brand new Stoicism exotic Titan mark that has Spirit of Inmost Light, so using an ability empowers the other two abilities, and Spirit of Verity, weapon final blows grant grenade damage. You can probably already see where I'm going from here. Now, the weapons don't matter as much, but there's a couple perks and things that I think you should be keeping in mind as you build this out. You can customize it to your taste, but I am using a something new with Wellspring and Demolitionist. Obviously, this is going to help me get my abilities back, especially my grenade, as quickly as possible. I'm also running Cold Heart in the video. You can swap this out if you want to run something like Indebted Kindness or Undercurrent, like a Wave Frame grenade launcher, anything like that that's going to get you kills quickly with an arc weapon is going to be nice, and that's because the Verity requires you to use a weapon matching your grenade, and I am going to be using a arc grenade for this one. So that all combines really well, and then I'm also using Reconstruction and Demolitionist for my rocket launcher as well. The reason for this is I can shoot 2 rockets, toss my grenade, which will do extra damage because I'll have Verity perked up, and also use my other abilities to charge it up as well, and so I'll get 3 rockets in a short span of time. So you can swap this out for another heavy weapon if you want. I just found that this is very helpful when I am doing DPS, and I really like the gameplay loop overall. Now, as far as my subclass, I am using the Twilight Arsenal, but you can use whatever favorite super you have here. It doesn't really matter. Then we've got the Frenzied Blade. This one has a long cooldown, so I was kind of hesitant on it, but it is nice to have 3 different charges. Just try to keep one in the bank to use before using your Pulse Grenade. I'm also using my Rally Barricade. You can use Thruster here. You don't really want Towering Barricade because the cooldown is too long, so either Rally Barricade or Thruster would be fine. I just like Rally Barricade when it's a little bit harder content. Now, I'm also using Knockout. This is especially helpful when I do get some melee kills, and I do want to use my abilities fairly often because not only will my grenade be juiced, but my melees will as well, especially if I use my class ability first, then I'll use my melee ability, and then I'll follow up with a grenade, and it's just a nice little loop there. Plus, Drenger's Lash gives me purpose when I am using my Rally Barricade as well. As far as the fragments go, I'm using Facet of Dominance. This one is very important because I can jolt targets with my arc grenade on top of the extra damage. Then we got Balance, Mending, Grenade Final Blows Cure You. You should be getting significant kills with your grenade. And then Transcendence, Grenade Final Blows increases strength of effect. Then we've got Protection. This is for increased damage resist. And then finally we've got Dawn. So I will become Radiant pretty much all the time while using my melee to get melee hits. Now, as far as the artifact goes, some of the important ones to keep in mind is going to be Shield Crush is very, very nice. This is going to give you a Void Overshield pretty consistently, and also when you are amplified or radiant, your grenade charges faster. So essentially you want to spam your abilities as much as possible. The Galvanic Armor, Radiant Orbs, and Void Hegemony are also very, very nice. Highly recommend going after those. Other than that, really grab whatever anti-barrier, anti-unstoppable type of perks that you need depending on the content. That's why you can swap out your hand cannon, like I'm using this something new, for a different weapon depending on if you need a pulse rifle for anti-barrier or something of that nature. As far as the mods go, I am using a Heavy Ammo Finder as well as a Void Siphon. Arc Siphon, apologies, I misspoke. Arc Siphon there is very, very huge, especially if you're using something like a Cold Heart. Then we've got the Arc Dexterity, Firepower. Firepower is clutch. You're going to be generating a bunch of orbs, so have 2 of those on. Then we got whatever damage resist you need for that activity, and Arc Reserves would also be a nice option here. Arc Weapon Surge is going to be huge, and then I also like to put on Better Already as well, just because it is helpful for survivability. And then finally, Bomber Reaper and then distribution help out quite a bit. So overall, the gameplay loop is pretty straightforward. I kind of mentioned it already. Essentially, you want to lead with your class ability and then use a melee if an enemy is nearby. It won't count your melee if you don't hit an enemy with it, so make sure you hit something with that for the Spirit of Inmost Light, and then now your grenade will be very charged. Then you can use your grenade, and then once you start regenerating your abilities very quickly with either your demolitionist weapon or something like a Cold Heart, because you do get, if you are ramped up, you get those arc traces, ionic traces, which helps you get your abilities back very quickly as well. And it just creates this really nice gameplay loop of pretty much constantly spamming your abilities and then using your weapons in support of that. So whenever you stun an enemy, you'll have multiple rockets. If you stun a champion to take them down very quickly, you can use your rockets against bosses as well. The Cold Heart, I think trace rifles in general are a bit underrated. Everyone's in love with the rocket sidearms, and so am I. I've been using them in a lot of my builds, but you can also swap it out and use something different if necessary. Now, the reason that I use Twilight Arsenal or even Thunder Crash here is you definitely want some boss damage for different activities, and that is going to come from either your grenade and rocket launcher combination or your super as well. You won't be using a special weapon that really is going to get a lot of boss damage, so that's why the Cold Heart will be a last resort for doing boss damage. Same thing with an Indebted Kindness or anything of that nature. Now, other than that, the usability in with this build is very high across all different kinds of content. This is one that you could test out in a Grandmaster. I've used it in like Legend and Master Lost Sectors. I use it in a lot of other different types of content, and it's worked out very well for me because you're essentially able to get your abilities back quickly. The main key is staying alive when you are surrounded, so make sure you get that melee ability off and then use your grenade very quickly so you're not in the middle of a bunch of enemies all at once. Other than that, this one is a lot of fun. Highly recommend. I'm a big fan of ability spam. This one, you won't get your Transcendence back as quickly. If you have a kinetic weapon that has Demolitionist, that might be a good option there as well in order to build up your Transcendence a little bit more. But that's not a huge deal because, in my opinion, I am more focused on that Pulse Grenade rather than the grenade from Transcendence, which is not going to do as much damage overall, especially to single targets. So that's why I'm not focusing on Transcendence quite as much with this build as I have with others. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. My name is JoPa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content. I love making these builds. I love trying them out and testing new things. It is the most fun thing for me in this game, and I hope that you guys are enjoying them as well, and you guys are getting something from it, even if you don't copy exactly the build that I'm running. Anyway, my name is JoPa. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.